On March 21, 1998, a baby girl was born somewhere in Manila, and that baby girl was me, Micah Justine Navarro Ravago, Micah for short. During the first year of my birth, or the infancy stage, the stage where I encountered the crisis of trust versus mistrust, I remained as an observant baby. My mom said that I rarely cried and that if I did, that meant that I was either hungry, uncomfortable because of my diaper, or that I wanted to be held. Being observant and trusting would be two positive virtues that I developed during this period. Being observant because I was exposed to different stimuli that would allow me to develop my senses. And having trust because I was well taken care of. I wasn't deprived of the things I needed like affection, food, and a shelter. The most important relationship during this period was my bond with my mother. She was my primary caregiver and I was the closest to her because I was breastfed. My relationship with her affected how I felt about the world and put me at ease because I knew that I would be provided for and be taken care of. Moving on to the next 2 years of my life, the early childhood stage, or the stage that I had to face the crisis of autonomy versus shame and doubt. This stage was when I was able to accomplish the main toddler milestones: learning to walk, learning to talk, and being potty trained. My mom mentioned that my brother and I loved to play with our toys and play pretend using the different toys we had. Independence would be a positive virtue that I gained during this stage because along with being mobile, my parents let me do things by myself like eating and playing with them watching over me. The important relationship during this period was with both of my parents and as well as with my guardians. They were the ones who directly watched over me and let me do things on my own with their supervision. On to when I was around ages 3 to 5, also known as the play age, wherein I encountered the crisis of initiative versus guilt. During this stage, I played more and started to explore more of the outside world and the people around me. I remember I would go to the park with my siblings and play with the neighborhood kids. We would play different games, but the game I remember the most is playing pretend. Whether that's us playing as animals, different professions, or playing bahay-bahayan. The positive virtues I gained in this period were imagination and friendliness. I developed my imagination mainly from playing pretend. We would use anything we had and imagine it as the thing we wanted it to be. I gained friendliness because I wanted to play with people. I had to be kind and approachable so that I would be able to converse and create new relationships. In this stage, I gained not only positive traits but also negative ones. I was stubborn and shy to other people. I was stubborn in times when I didn't get my way or when I had to go home but I didn't want to. I was distant to people that I weren't familiar with too. Because I was a shy kid, I needed help from my parents or siblings to start conversing with other people and make new friends. The important relationship in this stage would be with my family and friends. They were the ones I mainly interacted with. They created an environment for me where I could use my imagination and create new relationships. Moving on to the next stage of my life. Around this time, I was 6 to 11 years old. This stage is known as the school age. I had to face the conflict of industry versus inferiority. During this stage, I spent more of my time outside my home and inside my second home or my school. I went to school and met different people. I was not the best, but my parents always encouraged me to always do my best. In school, you may not always get along with everyone, and for me, there were times that I felt bullied by some of my classmates. I became hardworking and obedient during this stage. Hardworking because I also strive to do well in class and make my parents proud. Obedient because in school there are more rules that have to be followed, and my parents taught me to listen to my teachers. I also felt a bit of inferiority and insecurity because of how some of my classmates treated me. Some of them were mean and intimidating, which made me feel inferior to them. And I became insecure because I wanted people to like me and be proud of me because I was scared of rejection or not being good enough for them. The relationship with my peers had a great impact on me during this stage because of their influence on me and how they interacted with me. My relationships with my teachers were also important because they served as my second parents. Next stage is my current stage. It started from when I was 12 up to now that I am 20. and this stage is known as adolescence. In this stage, I encountered the conflict of ego identity versus role confusion. In this period of my life, I learned and experienced many things. I learned more and more about myself each day, but I must say that I know who I am and what I want to be. There may be people who say I need to be this or I need to be that, and yes, sometimes I do have doubts and insecurities, but at the end of the day, I stick to who I want to be. In this stage, I gained my self-identity, but in the process, I also developed a low self-esteem. I know who I am, and that's my self-identity. I'm a simple person who can do good at various things, but I can't do great at it. I may fail, but I always get back up and never give up. Growing up, I developed a low self-esteem. I started to feel anxious that I wasn't good enough or that I wasn't the person they wanted me to be. This led me to overthink a lot. However, now I try to control myself and just tell myself that I don't have to please everyone, and all I really need to do is become the person I'm happy to be. For me, my peers and my parents have an impact on how I am going through this stage. The greater society also affects me because of the societal norms and stereotypes that I am subjected to. These relationships and conditions help me become who I am and help me know who I want to be. Looking into the future, I plan to do things that make me happy, and I plan to strive hard to achieve my goals. Whether that's my goal to become a doctor, or to serve the people, to travel the world, and to be genuinely happy. I know that it may not always go my way, but I have to compromise and have faith that I can do it. Being content with what I have is something I also want to instill in myself, because for me, as long as I'm content, I'm happy.